Good morning, Barbados.
Before the island gets going, we're already here. 2 hours every weekday. The people, the stories, and the conversations that matter to Barbados. Guests you won't hear anywhere else. Your health, your culture, your country. No.
Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, 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 morning.
Good morning, Barbados. Good morning, everyone, everywhere. It's the 18th day of the 8th month of the year 2026. Work that out yourself. I'm Pearson Bowen. Good morning to all of you. Welcome to the start of a brand new day. What a day yesterday was with all the rain. Oh boy, was it a day to rejoice. I remember growing up as a little boy, we would just relish the days when we had those kinds of rains and those kinds of waters on the road. We would just get out and we would sail every little thing that we had that could go in water and just had fun. But those days are now gone. But nevertheless, I hoped yesterday all of you are safe coming out of the rains, and so we look forward to another day today. Sunshine has risen, and so to all of you, good morning indeed. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Barbados. I'm Pearson Bowen. So to those of you joining us on our streams on Facebook, YouTube, and our website, good morning. How do you do? Share the show, share the love, bring others along as well. And having conversations with yourselves, have conversations with us as well. We love to read your comments, and we encourage you to do so as well. And as always, if you know of something to be told by us, someone who has an interesting story that you think we should follow up and research and bring to the show as well, tell us about it. You become our partners in all of this, and you do so by sending us an email with the information you have. So that email address is morninbarbados@cbc.bb. morninbarbados@cbc.bb, and we thank you for partnering with us in the ways that you do. Thank you so much for your emails. A lot to celebrate today, including the fact that Team Barbados at the Goodwill Swimming Championships, the championships are now over. The expectation that is that they return home today just after 2 o'clock from Trinidad, and we want you to be there. They came fourth overall. 58 medals, lots of golds, silvers and bronze. They have done their absolute best. And so we congratulate Team Barbados, the swimmers who just represented us at the 30th Goodwill Swimming Championships in Trinidad, returning home today. Barbados Airport. Welcome them home with loving arms and congratulate them on their outstanding achievements indeed. My niece, yes, she was able to win a few medals, so I'm very, very proud of her as well. So no doubt the family will be there to welcome her home as well. And if whether or not you have a relative, it doesn't matter. Just come out as a Barbadian to say welcome home. Thank you, little ones, for representing us so well in the 30th Goodwill Swimming Championship. So well done to Team Barbados indeed. Abroad, a little further, in England, there's a young man who brought pride to Barbados yet again, because on Saturday, Bolton Wanderers, who found their way back into the championships, they won in that game against Wembley. And so there was a Barbadian footballer who caused all of it. He became eventually the man of the match, Terry Gale. You know his name? Did you see that winning goal? Take a look. And so the roar of the crowd said, "Congratulations, Terry Gale. He is a Barbadian." It just goes to show that we have everything, every capacity it is to do it on the global stage as well. We can. And so as Jennifer Lewis said yesterday, yes, we can. Echoing the words of Barack Obama, I continue to say it this morning as well. Yes, we can. And so we are living in a really good time when we are seeing the excellence of Barbados and Barbadians really shine on the global stage. And so that was another example of such an experience indeed. Speaking of Jennifer Lewis, as You know, we had that conversation with her yesterday. Last night, she met with over 300 of you. I know that they were concerned about the rains or whether or not people would show up. Oh boy, did they fill the room. And what a room it was, and it filled with energy and conversation and exchanges as well. She wants to hear our story so that she can take it back to share our story with the rest of the world. We wanted to hear her story to see how we could gain from her experience as well. So it was a really good evening yesterday in the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center when Jennifer Lewis spent time along with Dr. Julius Garvey as well, who was there, and they shared time as well with all of us indeed. So it continues. It continues this morning, as a matter of fact, when that renowned American actress, author, and activist meets with our young creatives in the Frank Collymore Hall. Frank Collymore Hall this morning from 9 for about 3 or so hours. She again wants to hear from you. She wants to hear of your projects you're working on and how she can help you really be your best self and bring your ideas to fruition to make a mark globally indeed. And so that's an opportunity that our young people should not miss. Should not miss today. In the Frank Collymore Hall, it begins at 9 o'clock this morning. All right, so don't miss that as well. But Jennifer also plans to travel across Barbados. She wants to go to Whole Town. I wonder why. I wonder who told her about Whole Town. She just wants, as she said, to be able to retrace when those British settlers sought to change the trajectory of Barbados indeed. And so she wants to go right back there to feel the vibration yet again and to meet people. So if you see her in Whole Town sometime, just welcome her with a good old warm Barbadian welcome that we always share to everyone, our guests to the island as well. So to her, we say we hope you enjoy the remainder of your stay with us. And remember, as always, best report. But we had a good time with you as well. Thank you for visiting Barbados. Where are we going on Thursday, you ask? I know a number of you do this every single day, and so we are telling you now on this Tuesday morning that on Thursday, Q in the community is going to the Salters Market at Salter St. George. If you look at your screen, Salters Market, Salter St. George is right there in the corner. And so that's where we'll all gather for this Thursday's Q in the community. Salter St. George, you cannot miss it. It's where that new food establishment has popped up. Many options are available to you. You know to park at your convenience, park at your own safety. Don't block the neighbors, don't block anyone. But you just come out to have a really good time at this week's Q in the community. And as you do so wholesomely and do so well. Now, coming up today on Morning Barbados, we'll have our conversations on CARICOM. Yes, Ambassador David Comishong is back because we want to take a look at that regional institution known as the Caribbean Court of Justice, why it was designed, its benefits from being members of it as well. And we'll also this morning continue to celebrate the contribution of the Right Excellent Marcus Josiah Garvey on our lived experience as black people in Barbados and the Caribbean, with a special emphasis on Barbados, of course. Also today, we'll hear of the 22nd Caribbean Internet Governance Forum. What was that designed to do, and what are the expected outcomes when they meet in Grenada starting tomorrow? So a couple of those who are part of the organization of it will join us to share with us what we will be discussing in the room. We'll also get today some details on this year's Family Fest fundraising gala. That is an opportunity for you to join forces to bring hope, help, healing and happiness to families in Barbados. How can you be a part of it? Cornelius Bartlett will join us to share about that. When is it, where is it, and how you can join. Emergency clinician Dr. Don Burgess was recently here. We had an opportunity to sit with us, and so he shares with us his experience abroad and what he's up to now. And Dr. Charleston Brathwaite will turn the pages of his latest book, Memories of China, My 11th Defining Moment. All of that right here this morning on Morning Barbados. We're 8:30 after 6 o'clock. We'll take a break here. We're back in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It is Tuesday morning, and just like all of you, we look forward to our conversations on CARICOM, where we get to understand a little bit deeper the workings of CARICOM, the institutions of CARICOM, and get a greater understanding of where we are and where we're going, from whence we've come. And so Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, His Excellency David Commichon, shares with all of this. He brings the information and the knowledge to all of us, and I know many of you are already benefiting from his sharings. And so again, Ambassador, good morning to you.
Morning, Pearson. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. I trust you're better.
Yes, well, I'm coming. Yes, more. I'm getting there.
We're all mortal, so we're getting there. We're getting there indeed. And so today I want to look at the Caribbean Court of Justice, not the furor, but the institution in itself. Where do we begin on this?
Yes, well, as viewers would have heard, we have this issue going on with our Caribbean Court of Justice. Some revelations about some disquiet among the judges in the court. And as was to be predicted, those persons who mean the court ill will latched upon it to make all kinds of dire predictions about the court. But it is important that we keep things in perspective. The Caribbean Court of Justice is one of our key CARICOM institutions, and it's a historic institution because not only is it the court that we established to adjudicate our revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. So it performs that critical function because you can't have a treaty and then you don't have a treaty body to interpret the treaty if a dispute arises to adjudicate the treaty. So we had to establish it for that purpose. But we also went on to give it a second function. And we said, look, you know, we are independent countries. Unfortunately, even though we are independent, many of our countries are still holding on to this British Privy Council, this British court, as their highest court of appeal. Let us also complete our independence by giving our Caribbean Court of Justice the function of being each country's highest national court. However, each country has to make that decision, of their own volition. And thus far, 5 of the CARICOM countries have made that critical decision to say we want our full independence. We are not prepared to allow any British court to hold that important function in our national affairs. And I'm so proud to say that Barbados was the first CARICOM country that signed on to the court, both being the court for the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, but also our highest national court. So the court was actually put in place between 2001 and 2005. It became operational in 2005. And of course, several Barbadians had a big role to play in helping to establish the court. Sir David Simmons, for example, who would have been Chief Justice of Barbados back then. Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who was our Attorney General back then, former Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony of St. Lucia. These are some of the, in addition to others, but these are some of the key players. So now that the court is under this kind of scrutiny and even attack, I think it's important that we do some public education so Caribbean people could understand exactly what this institution is, why it is so valuable, and to address an issue that has always been bandied about. Is it an independent institution insulated from outside interference and especially from political interference. And I can tell you that yes, it is. You know?
Yes. So let's start there, if you don't mind. And in terms of its construction, and how do you separate yourself? How are they able to maintain that level of integrity after all these years being the Caribbean Court of Justice?
Well, when the architects set it up, obviously that was one of the issues that they had to guard against. So I would say there are two aspects of it that really speak to that independence. First of all, it's funding. You know, they were very clear that they did not want this court beholden to governments for funding. So they said to all of the CARICOM governments, look, we are going to establish a trust fund. So put in, everybody make their contribution at the very outset. So they established a $100 million US million trust fund. And that trust fund has been placed under a board of trustees that is extremely widespread. So the board of trustees includes the heads of the insurance associations of the Caribbean Institute of Chartered Accountants, the Association of Indigenous Banks of the Caribbean, the Organization of Commonwealth Caribbean Bar Associations, the Caribbean Congress of Labor, the Caribbean Association of Industry and Commerce, the University of the West Indies, and the CARICOM Secretariat. So no government institution. So all the governments do, you put up the money to start, we establish the fund, and we put the fund under the management of these regional institutions. So the funding of the court is secure, right? It's permanent and secure. Secondly, they said that we are going to establish a regional judicial and legal services commission that will be responsible for appointing the judges, that will be responsible for the overall kind of management of the court, that will be responsible for disciplining the judges. And once again, they said we are going to make this body as wide and as independent as possible so that it is above any reproach. So it is an 11-entity commission comprised of representatives from our Council of Legal Education, the University of the West Indies Law Faculty, University of Guyana Law Faculty, the private sector bar associations of CARICOM, the OECS Bar Association, the Organization of Caribbean Commonwealth Bar Associations, one CARICOM Public Service Commission, one CARICOM Judicial Services Commission, the Secretary and the Secretaries General of CARICOM, and the OECS. So again, very, very broad-based, and it is that commission, as I said, that appoints the judges. It does not appoint the president of the court. There can be a maximum of 10 judges, plus 10 judges including a president. Thus far, we have appointed 7 judges, including the president. So this commission appoints the judges. This commission recommends who is to be appointed president. And then the governments have to vote for that person by a 2/3 majority. So the governments cannot identify any candidate. They have to depend on the commission saying, this is who we recommend to be appointed. Do you accept that person or not? And then they also have discipline over the judges. So for example, they can remove a judge for misbehavior or inability to carry out their duties. Other than that, once a judge is appointed, you're appointed for life.
Yeah.
So so you have security of tenure. So once you're a judge, you have that appointment, nobody can come and hold anything over your head. But the Judicial and Legal Services Commission can remove you for misbehavior or of inability to perform your functions. But you have to be subjected to a tribunal hearing. That tribunal has to recommend that you are no longer fit to serve, and then the commission can get rid of you. Where the president is concerned, the commission can't get rid of you, but similarly, the commission can subject you to a tribunal hearing. If that tribunal determines that you should go, then the commission can recommend to the governments that this person should go, and then the governments have can by a 3/4 vote can determine whether that person goes or not. So the commission is really like the engine room, controlling things, doing disciplinary hearings, carrying out investigations, setting up any disciplinary tribunal, and they are very, very insulated.
So no governmental interference at all.
No.
Let's look at access now for the CARICOM National, because that's another concern that we tend to have. How does this institution compare with the Privy Council, for instance, as it relates to access to justice?
Yes. It compares extremely well. In fact, I kind of laugh. There are 5 CARICOM countries that have signed on to the court as their National Court of Appeals: Barbados, Guyana, Belize, Dominica, and fairly recently St. Lucia. Now, the others that have not signed on, I kind of laugh, because it means that you are disadvantaging your citizens. Look, to be very practical, for a CARICOM citizen who has to access the Privy Council in London, first of all, it's a very expensive enterprise, right? Not only the fees, the court fees, but then you have to retain lawyers in England. The case has to be heard in London. You have to travel, their travel expenses, their court expenses, their legal expenses. It has, I don't have the figure offhand, but it's calculated that to do an appeal, you're talking about well over 100,000, Barbados dollars. So realistically, the only CARICOM people who have access to that court in England are companies, big companies that can afford, or in the cases of like murder appeals, where you can get pro bono services in the UK for murder appeals. So the average CARICOM citizen, they say that they have a right to appeal to the Privy Council. It's a joke. It's only a theoretical right. It is not a practical right. With our Caribbean Court of Justice, on the other hand, the court is located right here in the Caribbean. It's in Trinidad and Tobago. Every CARICOM citizen has easy access to the court. If you're a poor person and you can't afford the fees are waived. If you can't get to Trinidad, sometimes the court will actually come to you, or they will do the hearings via the information technology, the virtual hearings. So everybody has access to the CARICOM, to the Caribbean Court of Justice. So it is a superior court. And the record of the court, since it has been in operation now since 2005, I mean, the record has been outstanding, And if we look at it even from a Barbadian perspective, we have absolutely no complaints. It has served us well, and it has done something that the Privy Council never did. It has played a developmental role, because it has kind of scrutinized our own national court, and where it has found deficiencies, it has chastised our national court and said, you have to pull up your standards here, there, etc. And so we in Barbados have had an experience of the court that is superb.
Without a doubt. And so how does this align with Marcus Garvey's positioning, his thoughts, his ideas as well? We'll look at that when we continue our conversations on CARICOM in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're having our conversations on CARICOM this week with Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, His Excellency David Commichon. We just shared with you the why, the how, and the rationale behind the Caribbean Court of Justice and why we should celebrate its success over these years since 2005. And so, Ambassador, as I was listening to you, I kept thinking again, as I teased, about Marcus Garvey and his thinking and the institutions he led. Let's look at this institution in relation to the thinking and the philosophy of Marcus Garvey.
Well, first of all, I'm so proud of Barbados because I think we can correctly say that what we are celebrating in Barbados this week is Marcus Garvey Week. We should call it Marcus Garvey Week. You know, yesterday, Monday, the 17th of August was his birthday. And we have Dr. Julius Garvey, his son, with us, who was at that function last night, and he's going to be doing his own lecture on Thursday, and we are also going to be rededicating the Marcus Garvey Amphitheater in Queen's Park. That's going to happen on Thursday as well. So yes, Barbados, we have had the good sense to identify Marcus Garvey as a critical historical figure that we need to acknowledge and lift up. And you are quite right. Marcus Garvey, over 100 years ago, is really like the key architect of our Caribbean and Pan-African unity and integration and nation building movement. You know, if we go back to the organization that he established in 1914, many people say UNIA, but what was the full name of that organization? Marcus Garvey established the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League. That's the full name of the organization. And when you look at that full name, it tells you everything. At a time when virtually the entire black world, with the exception of Ethiopia and Haiti and Liberia, the entire black world, we were all European colonies. Yeah. We had no nations. Marcus Garvey lifted up this idea of nationalism, black nationalism, Caribbean nationalism, African nationalism, that we must demand and establish our own nations, but also Pan-African unity, that we not only do we want our nations, but then we want unity among those nations, and we want economic independence, economic self-sufficiency, hence, his establishment of the Black Star Liner and factories and all the rest of it. And so yes, Marcus Garvey is that critical foundational figure that helped to put us on that journey towards nationhood, Caribbean integration, wider Pan-African unity. And we need to know more about him, we need to celebrate him, and we need to be conscious that he had a tremendous influence on Barbados. Yeah. If you go back to the 1920s, virtually every public man, every black public man and woman in Barbados who was involved in civic life and activism and struggle was either a member of the UNIA or was seriously influenced by the UNIA. In fact, there were about 5 or 6 branches of the UNIA in Barbados. Clement Payne was a member of the UNIA. Israel Lovell was a president of the UNIA in Barbados. Errol Barrow, I remember Errol Barrow on several occasions talking about going to hear Marcus Garvey speak in Barbados. He visited Barbados twice, but the most significant visit was the one in October 1937, where he spoke. He gave a lecture in Queen's Park, in the area that we now know as the Steel Shed, and a young 17-year-old Errol Barrow was in that audience, and he always described it as a life-shaping experience for him as a young man to listen to the great Marcus Garvey. So yes, Garvey had a tremendous impact on Barbados, on the activists of the 1920s and 30s, and it is right that we regard Garvey as a folk hero, a cultural hero of the Barbadian people.
This little Jamaican man had such an influence. He actually impacted Ghana. I remember hearing a speech delivered by President Mahama of Ghana, and he referenced the Garvey philosophy that led to the outcome recently at the United Nations. And so that is the level of the impact of the man.
Oh yes. In fact, the founder leader of Ghana, of independent Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, said that the writer and the intellectual, the thinker who most influenced him was Marcus Garvey.
Wow.
And so much so that he took, Garvey established the Black Star Line, which was a steamship corporation. Imagine, back in the 1920s, when black people were at the bottom of the ladder, this man had the audacity to establish what would have been tantamount to like a big international airline today, the Black Star Line. And Kwame Nkrumah, when he came to make Ghana independent and to establish the symbols of independent Ghana, he took that Black Star, the Black Star, and he put that into the flag of Ghana, the independence flag of Ghana, as a kind of nod to Marcus Garvey and Marcus Garvey's ideas of nation building. So yes, Garvey established back at a time, as I said, when we were all colonies, he established a globe-spanning institution. It had hundreds of branches all over the world. It had something like 8 million members, So this was really a fantastic achievement. And what he was saying to black people all over the world, as he said, up you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. Africa for Africans, those at home and those abroad. He set out the objective that Africa must be independent and Africa must be seen as like a continental homeland of all black people, wherever we are on the face of this planet. So he set in train all of those ideas of fighting for independence in the Caribbean, on the African continent, and then coming together in unity.
And in that coming together, there's movement of people. I want to come back for just a moment to touch back on the Caribbean Court of Justice again, because I think you're right. There's a link between Marcus Garvey's philosophy and our establishment of self in the Caribbean as well. And so we have struggled for a little while about freedom of movement until the Caribbean Court of Justice made a decision.
Oh, yeah. No, one of the... if you look back on the 20-year history of the Caribbean Court of Justice, and you say, well, what is perhaps the key decision made by that court? And you will have to say it is a Shanique Myrie decision. And that's the decision that very much involved Barbados. Remember this Jamaican lady who came to Barbados, and she had this problem with immigration, and she was deported and all the rest of it. And she took her matter to court. She went to the Caribbean Court of Justice and she won a landmark decision. And it was a decision that, even though it went against the government of Barbados, which again sends a message that that court has ruled against our governments again and again, right? Demonstrating its independence. You know, it is definitely not beholden to any government because it has consistently ruled against our governments when they're wrong.
Yes.
And that was one case where it ruled for Shanique Myrie against the government of Barbados. But it was a very valuable ruling because what the court did, you know, the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, speaking about this, the right of CARICOM citizens to movement, but the rules and regulations and rights and responsibilities were not very well fleshed out. And the court took the opportunity to make everything absolutely clear. That this is how the system is supposed to work. These are the rights of CARICOM persons traveling across the region. This is how immigration is supposed to behave, how you are supposed to treat them. And so, yes, after that decision, right across CARICOM, everybody then got in line. Immigration officers, you know, governments, the rights of citizens to travel and how they were to be treated and respected, all of that became pellucidly clear. So the court did a real benefit to the entire community by helping us to flesh out that regime and to establish it in a way that there was absolute clarity and certainty. And all CARICOM citizens have since benefited from that landmark decision.
I come back to that quotation you just shared, up ye mighty men.
And so mighty race. Yes.
Well, I call it men
and women. Men and women.
Correct. And so the contribution of Marcus Garvey still resonates in every fabric of everything we do. How we operate as a people, how we operate in general, in practical ways. And you said Barbados is very much entwined in all of this. You mentioned Thursday. Let's talk a little bit about Thursday's activity, and because I really want people of intellect and people of just desire to know to come to be a part.
Well, the dedication of the amphitheater will take place, I think, at 4 p.m. On Thursday, and then at the Daphne Joseph Hackett Theatre. Dr. Julius Garvey, who is a very outstanding surgeon. You know, Marcus had two sons, Marcus Jr. and Julius, and Julius is with us. A very outstanding surgeon in his own right, and he has been carrying the legacy of his father, Marcus Garvey, and he will be delivering our emancipation lecture at the Daphne Joseph Hackett Theatre. I suspect, because we know the theatre is a limited seating, but I suspect the whole event will be live streamed, so it should be available to the entire Barbadian populace. But yes, we are very honored to have Dr. Julius Garvey as our very special guest, and we look forward to hearing his message on Thursday. And you know, Dr. Garvey and I, we know each other quite well. In fact, some years ago, Dr. Garvey made a very special request of me. He was doing an international concert to celebrate his father, and he said to me, "Can you organize to have a recording of Arnold Josiah Ford's composition, the Universal Ethiopian Anthem?" Arnold Josiah Ford, a Barbadian, was the musical director of the UNIA. He wrote all the original music, and he wrote this tremendous anthem. And Dr. Garvey asked me to arrange a recording of it, and I was able to get the Marlon Legal Voice Project. And they did a brilliant rendition of the Universal Ethiopian Anthem that Dr. Garvey was able to use in that international concert. And you know, he told me that that performance lifted, it lifted the whole standard of the concert. So Barbadians need to know that many Barbadians played very central roles in the Marcus Garvey organization, made tremendous contributions. In fact, Garvey is on record as saying that the Brooklyn branch of the UNIA, which was basically an all Barbadian branch, was the number one branch, was the number one branch. And he was so impressed with the Brooklyn branch. So yes, when you talk Marcus Garvey and the UNIA, you're also talking Barbados and Barbadians.
Yeah. So much of which we can be proud indeed. So as always, a pleasure learning from you, Ambassador Kamishong, on all of this. And so folks, I hope you take away the respect we ought to have for the Caribbean Court of Justice, understanding the institution and its integrity and its independence. And in spite of everything else, these things happen from time to time. One self-regulates and then we get it right yet again. But not to be too much worried about what you've been reading in the news recently. And then you also remember the philosophy of Marcus Mosiah Garvey and what he's left for all of us. Up ye mighty race. And so we need to be able to follow that call to action and to be able to position oneself in the might that we already possess and need to make a tremendous difference. Thank you again, Ambassador.
My pleasure, Pearson.
As always. And that's our today's Conversations on CARICOM. Morning Barbados is right back right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
Preserve your personal priceless memories. Here at CBC, we transfer VHS, DVDs, Beta, U-matic, and DV cam tapes to modern digital formats. Safely, quickly, and affordably. Call CBC on 467-5437 to get started. In just 2 weeks, your
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Starting tomorrow in Grenada, as a matter of fact, is the Caribbean Telecommunication Union's Caribbean Internet Governance Forum. It's the 22nd edition. And so joining us is to take a look at what's on the agenda and who will be in the room to discuss what and what are the possible outcomes. Nigel Casimir, who is the Deputy Secretary General and Head of Regional Policy Development with the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. With him is Vincent Roberts, who is the Chairman and Commissioner of the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission of Grenada. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hear me?
Mr. Casimir, let's start with you. Let's put into context this forum and why this forum now.
Okay, well, it doesn't start tomorrow. It starts on Monday. It's August 24th to 26th in Grenada at the Grenada Radisson Resort. And the Internet Governance Forum, like Internet Governance Fora around the world, basically is a platform where we bring together what we call multiple stakeholders. So what the United Nations has realized is, and in fact has tested over the past 20 or more years, is governing the operations of the internet through multi-stakeholder forum, meaning we bring together governmental stakeholders, private sector, academia, and civil society all together on equal footing to discuss everything related to the development and evolution of the internet. So it's a broad scope of things that are discussed. We have technical matters, we have legal matters, we have social matters, because the internet basically pervades our life these days, right? Business and leisure life and everything. So a forum like this, a multi-stakeholder forum, and in our case, the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum, discusses the technical evolution of the internet. It discusses the social evolution of the internet. It discusses legal matters around the internet. So, and these fora take place all over the world. And our forum is the 22nd gathering since the first one in 2005. So we recognize the march of technology and the ever increasing impact of technology. So we basically meet every year to review where we are, to assess our policies that are in place, our legislation that is in place. And out of this multi-stakeholder forum where we get all the views, we document collective consensus of this Caribbean audience for the advice of governments in the region.
What give us a sense of this collective consensus? What does it report to you?
Right. So what it manifests as in our case is a document we call the Caribbean Governance Policy Framework. So in that, it articulates a common vision and mission for internet governance in the Caribbean. It identifies what we in the Caribbean figure are our highest priority items related to the internet. Some are technical, some legal, and whatever, because it's a full scope. And our annual fora help us to evolve that as technology evolves, because new challenges crop up all the time. Mm-hmm. So this is our annual forum. We usually have it in August of each year, and we move it around to different countries of the Caribbean so that our individual nations could get exposure to the issues, to the experts, and to the all the matters related to the internet for the benefit of the local communities.
And so here we are in Grenada. It will be hosted, but not every island has equal capacity. They're all different challenges, respectively. And so I want to hear now from you, Mr. Roberts, about what's the Grenadian reality where you sit now as head of that commission, about how the internet, what the differences you see, and how can the internet further help the people of Grenada relative to the people of the Caribbean?
Great, thank you very much. Now, Grenada is in a unique position. As you may be aware, within the structure of CARICOM, their member states have different responsibilities. And in that quasi-cabinet, Grenada has responsibility for science and technology, including internet and communication technology. So we are in that area of responsibility. However, like all the member countries, we are looking to see how we can have our voice heard at that table. So as we're in this process of digital transformation, we are looking to see how we can not just use the internet for, the average things for entertainment and for information and all that, but how we can use it to ensure that it contributes to the betterment of our people and to our country, our economies. So when I speak of Grenada here and what we are doing, for example, we want to know who has access to the internet, making sure that what we speak of the digital divide is eliminated, does no longer exist. Is connectivity affordable? We want to make sure that when we speak about everybody has access, is it affordable? Then we have the current issues of cybercrime and artificial intelligence. How do we protect our people from fraud and crime online? Making sure that harmful activity online is addressed, protecting our children, and ensuring that when we have situations like hurricane, and we're in the hurricane season, that the resilience is there, that we can come back online, that we can have the systems in place and make everything work great. So this is what we are looking at in Grenada.
Mm-hmm. And so, Mr. Casimir, challenges from island to island can sometimes cause a bit of a hiccup in being able to harmonize what we are seeking to do at the same time. We're also, though, however, equally challenged by this thing known as AI, artificial intelligence, and the levels of responsibility and the guardrails that would need to be put in place as well. Is that a subject matter on the agenda for discussion? I'm not sure if you've muted yourself, but so if you've muted yourself, just unmute, and we'll do the muting from here. Don't you
Yes,
worry.
I
Okay, here we go.
I did. Yes, I'm sorry. So yes, as Mr. Roberts mentioned just now, he introduced the topics of cybersecurity and AI. Well, not necessarily AI, but certainly cybersecurity and innovation, resilience, because he did mention us being vulnerable in that regard. So all of these matters, including the AI that you asked about, are on the agenda of the CIGF, the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum. Our theme is actually connectivity to capability, shaping a resilient, trusted, and innovative digital Caribbean. So over the previous 21 years of our CIGF, in the early days, we were very much concerned about enhancing connectivity, right? That was the top priority, getting people connected to the internet, reducing the digital divide, and the like. Now we are focusing on capability, building capability in our region. So yes, we are looking at AI, and in fact, one of the things that is worthy of mention is that in the CIGF now, we also have the Caribbean Youth Internet Governance Forum. So youth have their own space, and the youth themselves create their own agenda for their youth forum. That's also being held in this window, 24th to 26th of August in Grenada. So the youth also have AI on their agenda. They're looking at youth AI and the future of the digital Caribbean and what their role is in that. So AI is, one might say, is a wider issue than just internet, but it impacts the internet remarkably. So it is one of the things that we'll be looking at.
We're hearing more and more, Mr. Roberts, about, challenges with connectivity, whether it is that your particular provider has not yet moved to a particular stage where that you can access this connectivity anywhere, given hills and valleys and other obstacles as well. And so that diminishes the possibility for every citizen to be a part of the digital and to diminish that digital divide. What still needs to be done, do you think, is to be able to allow for everyone, everywhere, at every time, to be able to have that space within the digital space?
Well, technology is developing at such a fantastic speed that no longer can we find anywhere on Earth that is inaccessible. With the advent of the satellite, and we hear of the different companies doing their due and coming to the region, while they were not licensed in all the countries, they are available, and we're in the process of making sure that they're licensed. The access via satellite is complementing the terrestrial links that already exist. But even more importantly is that while the satellite is there, they are now able to communicate direct to your device. So whereas before you would need some type of local connectivity to make sure that you can get online, today, with the satellite communications in place, direct to device, in the case of a hurricane or any natural disaster, or just based on the geographic location of a school or a community, connectivity is possible. Again, we raise the price. Is it affordable? Yes, we have to work to ensure that it is affordable and make sure that every person in our region, our communities, everyone has equal access to be connected affordably.
You know, I think you would understand when we say that the human being says, when we talk about connectivity in that capacity, it's a two-way street. And so the concern often is, how do I guard my rail? How do I make sure that, you know, I am not plundered with my, whether it is my particular personal information or in any way impacted negatively by this two-way flow? Let's talk a little bit about that. Would that be a part of the discussion as well, the guardrails that need to be put in place to protect the average citizen from anyone somewhere else in the atmosphere plundering their profiles?
Well, when you speak of that, we can respond looking at a number of factors. One, data protection. Or two, cybercrime and the responses that we make. We have to ensure that there is a high level of capability to respond to cybercrime within the region. And we are building a structure where in each territory there is a first level response. But we are also having structures so that as it escalates, we can move to a facility in the Dominican Republic, for example, who can assist in responding. And if it is out of their scope, it can be elevated higher. So there is a structure in place to deal with cybercrime. And while we speak of that, we also have the issue of AI. And as Nigel mentioned, this is something that we don't just have to look at the risk. We have to look at the opportunities presented to us by AI and making sure that the Caribbean is at the table discussing the frameworks, the positives, how we protect from the negatives and all of that. In the terms of data protection, we have to advance from where we are. We have to make sure that there are data commissioners in each member state, and I speak of the region here. Make sure that the trust is there and the consumers of the internet services feel comfortable conducting business online, knowing that the data is protected and that when we pledge that your data will not be shared, that this is actually the case and there are penalties for breaching that. So in terms of protecting the people, we have data communication legislation, we have cybercrime response and use of AI in taking advantage of the opportunities and not just the negative side of it.
And so, Mr.
And let me
Councillor,
just
from the 24th, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add, that's the connectivity to capability theme that's in our thing. And in each CIGF, we have capacity building sessions to build the capability of the Caribbean audience, or all stakeholders. So
Right.
just wanted to point that out.
Okay, so from the 24th to the 26th in Grenada, you're meeting in forum, and so the outcomes, I want to look at what are the expected outcomes and then what happens after the forum closes.
Right. I mentioned earlier on that our consensus manifests in a document. We call it the Caribbean Internet Governance Policy Framework. So as technology advances, and it's inexorable, and we have our forum and we discuss matters and we build consensus, what we do is that we update that policy framework document based on the discussions at the forum. So in terms of outcomes, there is a specific output, which would be updates to our policy framework. And after the session itself, we would update our advice to Caribbean governments and the Caribbean community, Caribbean stakeholders in general, right? And we would basically continue, and we've instituted this in more recent times, what we call intersessional consultations on specific matters. So between the annual forum, we convene other sessions that might focus on something specific. Like we've done data governance, we've done cybersecurity in most recently. So there may be something related, I'm guessing, related to AI next year, right? So that's what we expect to have thereafter.
You spoke about other bodies like yourselves
Yeah,
and having conversations and sharing the outcomes as well. So when will that coming together when would that be?
If I might add here,
Yeah.
if I might add here, now there are many forums taking place, and the Internet Forum is part of a global set of structures led by the International Telecommunications Union. And every 4 years, they have their big meetings that referred to as the plenipotentiary. This meeting will be held this year. Building up to that, the countries, the regional organizations like the CTU and the CARICOM Secretariat, they are coordinating meetings, looking at resolutions to make sure that there is a stronger Caribbean collaboration, that the voice of the Caribbean is heard, that we are not just on the sidelines, but we are contributing to all of these developments. One of the outcomes that we also want to make sure is that there is greater awareness of internet governance and the need for the participation, not just of government, but that it includes the private sector. It includes the non-governmental organization. It includes the youth. It is a multi-stakeholder challenge. And what is happening here this morning is increasing the awareness, making people realize that you do have a voice in the policies running the internet. So this is what I just wanted to add.
All right. I want to thank both of you gentlemen for joining us this morning, indeed, for having this wide-ranging but deep conversation about how we position ourselves as a region within the internet world, and the assurance really at the end of it all that we do have thinkers and people who sit in rooms to discuss protecting ourselves and our data as well. So I want to thank you so very much for joining us this morning. Mr. Nigel Casimir, the Deputy Secretary General of CTU, and Vincent Roberts, Chairman and Commissioner of the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission of Grenada. Gentlemen, all the best with the outcomes, and we're looking forward to follow-ups thereafter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Morning Barbados breaks here, everybody. We're back in a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Preserve your personal priceless memories. Here at CBC, we transfer VHS, DVDs, Beta, U-matic, and DV-Cam tapes to modern digital formats. Safely, quickly, and affordably. Call CBC on 467-5437 to get started. In just 2 weeks, your memories will be ready to relive and share again.
Are you ready to turn it all the way up? We make you feel good. Your #1 party station. Non-stop hits and the latest trends in music, fashion, and everything lit. Hit us up on socials at 981 Barbados on IG and 98.1 The One on Facebook. This is your world, your playlist.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Let's get to the news now. Major coastal works focusing on Barbados shoreline stabilization and erosion control are set to begin soon. News of this from Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Environment, National Beautification and Fisheries, Santia Bradshaw. She announced yesterday that construction work under the Client Resilient and Sustainable Integrated Coastal Zone Management Program is expected to begin later this year, and it will mark a significant investment in the future of the country's coastline. Ms. Bradshaw made that announcement while delivering remarks during the closing ceremony of the 2026 Environmental Internship Program.
With a total program cost of approximately US $52.9 million, including US $50 million in financing from the Inter-American Development Bank and US $2.9 million in counterpart financing from Barbados. The program addresses 5 important areas along our coastline. The first phase is going to focus on Clinkets in St. Lucie, Sand Street in St. Peter, and the area from Mullins to St. Peter's Bay. The second phase will focus on Oystons Bay, as well as the third phase covering the Rockley Beach to St. Lawrence Gap. And for those who have had the opportunity to drive along the East Coast, we are also seeing similar issues of erosion plaguing that coastline as well.
Minister Bradshaw noted that works are not simply construction projects, but are also a major undertaking to protect the country's roads and properties.
improving beaches and public access, reducing the risks which are associated with erosion and storm impacts, and strengthening our ability to manage our coastline in the face of climate change. Importantly, the projects will use a combination of approaches, including beach nourishment, coastal structures such as groins, revetments, and breakwaters, as well as drainage improvements where necessary.
A call has been made for an earlier launch of the Crop Over Festival. This recommendation was put forward by Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office with responsibility for youth and culture, Senator Shane Archer. The minister was addressing the annual general meeting of the St. George North constituency branch of the Barbados Labour Party at the Valerie Resource Centre. Trevor Thorpe reports.
During his address, the minister emphasized the importance of the festival to the community and expressed the belief that an earlier start could enhance cultural engagement and provide greater opportunities for youth participation throughout the event. This proposal reflects ongoing efforts to invigorate the cultural calendar and to foster a deeper connection between the festival and the people of Barbados, particularly the young generation. He told the gathering Barbados is missing out on a lot.
Launching a festival in April and starting it 2 or 3 months after that means that we are not really catching the persons, and when they say persons, I mean the tourists and the persons that are maybe second or third generation Barbadians that live overseas. We are not capturing them because then they have already bought their flights, they have already set their pace for their summer. So I think that we need to launch Crop Over way earlier so that we can capture more persons. And I say all of this to say this, and this year I don't take credit for what has increased this year because I don't think that some of the stuff that we would have implemented would have gone that far. I think it is the work of the former minister and the foundation over the last few years.
The minister says the ministry, the National Cultural Foundation and stakeholders will be collaborating on the initiative to help Barbados return to its former cultural prominence.
Barbados must return to be the top festival in the Caribbean when it's Crop Over time. We must return to where we were in the early 2000s and 2010s so that we will work alongside the stakeholders and ensure and put the stuff together to ensure that Barbados returns to where it once was.
The minister highlighted that the appeal and quality of nearly all the events featured in this year's festival were clearly demonstrated by the significant increase in attendance compared with previous years.
For the opening gala, we had 5,000 persons, which is an increase from last year. The Junior Monarch tent, for the first year ever, all the Junior Monarch tents were completely sold out. The Junior Monarch semi-finals and finals, which were held at Carifesta Village, we had 4,500 persons, which is a 90% capacity, 45 and some change. Pandemonium was the only event this year that saw a decrease in numbers. And this is because of two things. One, we changed the date, and two, the rain fell. So normally, Pandemonium would have been on the date that the Party Monarch was held, but with the reintroduction, it had to take a little hit. So Pandemonium had about 12,500 persons from the police report, which was down by a few thousand.
The minister says details illustrated how the diverse and engaging lineup of activities attracted a broader audience, contributing to a vibrant and well-supported celebration throughout the duration of the festival. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
The Barbados Council for the Disabled received a fully accessible bus, a representation of the organization's commitment to improving service for people with disabilities. The new vehicle is expected to open up opportunities, allowing those living with disabilities to have greater participation in community life and other important activities. Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs Adrian Ford says the bus will make life easier for those individuals while creating a more accessible Barbados. He was speaking during the handover ceremony at the council's headquarters at the Garrison.
The light today is shining brightly towards an accessible bus that we are going to ensure that the lives of persons with disabilities, that those lives are made easier, and that they now have a way that they can be transported so that they can have access to not only social services, but to a quality of life that is equal to persons who are not living with disabilities.
Barbados High Commissioner to the UK and advocate for people with disabilities, His Excellency Edmund Hinkson, says he's already had plans in place to provide the council with a second bus.
I have, on my own initiative, under the patronage of the Most Honourable Kerry-Ann Eiffel, graciously consenting to be patron. I am hosting a fundraiser November the 7th, Wyndham Grand Hotel, to raise funds for the second bus. The Lord helps those who help themselves. And therefore now we're not asking now for, the big donations for this second bus. We're holding a fundraiser, $300 a ticket, and inviting everyone to participate, to buy a ticket, 2, 3, 4 if you can.
Let's get to sports now. Seth Best, Carrie Francis and Mosiah Williams have all advanced to the second round of the 2026 Road Tennis Open after registering victories when the tournament continued at Belfield. Anmar Goodrich-Boyce reports now on the latest action.
We pick up the action in the first set, a battle between Seth Best in the black and Corey Mears. It was 12 serving 13 here. Pretty decent rally ongoing before Mears went a bit too long. This next rally really told the story of the entire contest. Mears having to work extremely hard to return, while Best was living up to his last name. Both players using the backhand effectively before Best unleashed the killer blow. Impressive. Well, frustration settled in a bit for Mears, and Best didn't need to do much. The net doing the job. And Best wrapped up the opening set. After this fiery exchange, Mears was determined, but eventually hit the ball long, 21-14 to Best. Quickly to the second set. 6 serving 19 at this point. Best closing in on victory, but Mears wasn't prepared to stay quiet. That was a very low shot. But this game was over. Mears finding the net to grant Best the win, 21-14. 21-14. Next match, Kerry Francis back in the screen, taking on Julian Cullimore. Francis came out in an aggressive manner from the outset. Cullimore on the back foot, and this was no surprise. Ball out to the delight of Francis. And Francis was definitely in a no-nonsense mode, trading backhand and forehand shots. This was the best of the lot. Unstoppable. Let me tell you this. It was pretty lopsided. Francis was fantastic. This was worth a bright penny. One of the best road tennis shots of the year. Nobody moved. Nobody gets hurt. They were rare, but Cullimore had his moments in the match. This was one. But there was no way back for Cullimore. Francis just got better as the game progressed. He took the victory, 21-10, 21-6. And the final game of the night featured Mosiah Williams taking on Ezekiel Ward in the red. And it was also a straight set win. Williams took the victory, 21-11, 21-13. Anmar Goodrich-Boyce, CBC Sports.
And that's a look at news and sports. Morning Barbados is right back right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Are you ready to turn it all the way up? We make you feel good. Your #1 party station. Non-stop hits and the latest trends in music, fashion, and everything lit. Hit us up on socials at 981 Barbados on IG and 98.1 The One on Facebook. This is your world, your playlist, your station. 98.1 The One.
Good morning. Good morning, Barbados.
Before the island gets going, we're already here 2 hours every weekday. The people, the stories, and the conversations that matter to Barbados. Guests you won't hear anywhere else. Your health, your culture, your country. No rush, no shouting, just good company to start your day. Mornin Barbados, weekday mornings, 6 to 8 on TV8.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
14 after 7 o'clock now as we turn our attention to an organization I have a lot of respect for, Family Fest Barbados. Family Fest Barbados designed to provide help, hope, healing and happiness to families. And so when the family is strong, Barbados thrives. When the family is strong, each person thrives as well. I know that's part of the mantra. Cornelius Bartley, who founded this organization, is with me. Cornelius, good morning.
Good morning. Good
Did
morning,
I hit the nail on the head?
Pardon?
Did I hit the nail on the head?
Exactly.
When the family
Dead
is strong, everybody benefits.
Dead center.
Dead center. Indeed. And so here we are. We've got through the month of Family Fest activities generally, and we're projecting now to the next big one because the work continues, but the work needs hands. It also needs cash and kind.
That's right.
So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now.
Okay, so what we're doing, we're hosting a gala at the Hilton Barbados Resort on the 5th of September, Saturday the 5th of September at 7 p.m. Now, we want to make it clear that this gala, because I know the interesting thing about communication is that when people hear you talk about something, you have 1,000 people with 1,000 different ideas or perspectives of what you're doing. Now, I wanted to make it very clear, or as some people say, abundantly clear. This Family Fest Gala is not just about food, drinks, and entertainment. I'll repeat that. This Family Fest Gala is not just about food, drinks, and entertainment. This Family Fest Gala is about, first of all, getting the attention on families that it needs to have. One. This gala is about bringing stakeholders together who have an interest in family, whether it's private sector, whether it's the public sector, or just what you would call civic society. We need to bring attention to family. I think, Pearson, honestly, that unfortunately we spend too much time, or our sole energy is on symptom solving. And what this gala is going to do, it is going to get key stakeholders from civic society right across the board in one room to spend one night while eating and drinking, yes, while being entertained, but to focus on families. We have some very interesting presentations planned. We have a very interesting floor. Of course, I can't let it out. I need to keep you curious, all right, so that you can come and see what we have planned.
Not even a slight tease of one thing?
What I can tell you, right, is that the one thing I'll tell you is that you're not going to leave this gala the same way you came.
Okay.
Your mindset and your concept about life and family and Barbados is not going to be the same.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that because hopefully we'll have all like-minded people in the room. But if you're not like-minded, you will leave changed and inspired.
Definitely.
And not just fed and watered. And that's the whole point to this experience as well. Yes, it's a gala where we could sit at the Hilton Barbados and eat and commune one with the other. But it's for a purpose. And it's the purpose that must not be lost in the chewing and the sipping.
For sure.
And that's the whole point you're saying here.
For sure.
Because you'll be fed with other information as well. It can help change the fabric of our community. So if you're like Cornelius or myself, who's concerned oftentimes with how this community is changing, and we want to arrest it and we want to make a difference, this gala is for you. You're turning up there shows you want to stand in solidarity with.
Yep.
And so it happens on the 5th of September.
Saturday, the 5th of September.
Hilton Barbados.
Hilton Barbados Resort.
And as we're talking, folks, look at the bottom of your screen because we're sharing with you information about how you can help. And you can help in a very significant way by your donation. So just keep watching. Don't just listen alone. I want you to watch right now as well. And so for those who are very curious and very keen on being a part of the gala and want to come in person, what are they required to do?
First of all, you can get your tickets from our box office, Corbar Business Solutions in Oystons. The number there is 428-9611, 420-5717. For those who just want to contribute or invest, I'm trying to move away from the word donate.
Right.
You're investing. Because when you spend money with this particular function, you're investing back in Barbados. Now, tickets are $250. but I'm happy to let the public know that 40% of that comes right back to Family Fest Barbados.
Right.
So you're not just spending $250 on food and drinks and entertainment, you're actually contributing to the cause of the charity. Now, you can also go online. You saw the information on screen, but you know we have the new payment system. So you have BIMPay, yes, and our BIMPay handle, which also is used for First Pay for those of you who are with CIBC, is accounts@familyfestbarbados.org. That's accounts@familyfestbarbados.org. That's going to eliminate all of the information, the banking information you need to put in for BIMPay or First Pay. But I really want to encourage not only regular Barbadians, but I want to encourage corporate Barbados. It's not too late. We still have, for the 5th, it's still over 2 weeks away. I want to encourage companies. You might own a company, a large, medium, small company. You might just have the disposable income that you could throw some support behind us. I want to encourage you to just go online. You don't have to even think about coming to Oystons, to the box office if you don't intend to come, but you want to support. Just go online and give your support. Just go online and give your support. And now with the new payment systems, you just need to put in one email address in BIMPay or First Pay, and you can shoot that. And no amount is too small.
Yeah.
If you want to give $1, and I'm very serious, if you want to give $1 just to say, look, I support what you're doing. And I'll tell you something, there are a couple of business people in this country that I'm not going to call their names because I don't think they want to be named per se, but there are a couple of business people in this country who I really must say thanks. From the beginning, they supported us. And I know one in particular, a lady, she runs a group of companies. She said, Cornelius, I believe in what you're doing. And every year, without fail, she sends an investment for us. Another black business, another businessman, right? Every year, he not only donates or contributes or invests, but he sends his messenger with a check to our office. I mean, that's the kind of, and these are things that you will never forget. I will never forget.
That's right.
But when you invest, you know, the Bible says, whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap.
Right.
And it's people like those business persons who invest in things like this that is helping to turn around Barbados for tomorrow. We look at what is happening in our society, Pearson, and people feel hopeless. I don't think that people realize the connectivity and the connections between family and what we are seeing. If you go, and I live this every day, if you go to the prison, for example, our prison, and you see our prison is populated with a majority young men. Young men, not young women or old women, young men. And if you peel the layers off as to why they're there, fatherlessness. What Family Fest is aiming to do is we're trying to re-educate. We're trying to change from the root. We're trying to go to the source by trying to re-educate. We have something called social media that is very popular. And I'm really, sorry for getting passionate, but I'm really passionate about this, right? We have something called social media. And social media has a lot of good content, but it also has a lot of bad content.
Oh, yes.
What if an organization like ours was given the funding that we can create messaging that change the minds of the persons in Barbados, the world as well, but Barbados home drums beat first, where we could end the child father syndrome, for example, and I'm going to call it raw as it is. So, for example, we have a culture developing in this country called a child father culture, where you have men dropping 10 and 15 children from 10 and 15 different women. And then they create problems for society where these children, innocent children, no guidance, no love, people then end up being in awe at the hideous acts that's committed. And then we run to create more laws, and then we run to create to hire more police, and then we in our house locked up with burglar bars, and we're scared to go on the street to enjoy ourselves and enjoy our country. Why not invest in an organization like Family Fest that is interested in re-educating our society? We think that the issue in Barbados is only about gun violence. That's not the only vice. We have a serious problem in this country with corruption.
Right.
We have a serious problem in this country with drug trafficking, all sorts of things.
Problems, but we need to find solutions. We need to get to the heart of it. And that is where Family Fest comes in.
That's right. So
I want to come back to September the 5th because I don't want people to miss it. I don't want people to miss this chance because there are a couple of weeks, payday is coming up for some, and so you want to be able to plan yourself accordingly.
Yes.
I know you said to organizations, big or small, you can invest into Family Fest activity by just first paying or been paying or coming to your box office and buying, but reservation of small tables or large tables of you and your staff.
Yes, actually, we have
family.
something called a table sponsor. You can pay $2,500 and get a table for 10. Logo with your logo on it and everything.
Right. So all of that you can do. So there are different ways in which you can show up. Whether it's and you think, sometimes I don't want to go to by myself, or I may not go because I don't know who's going to be there, and I feel uncomfortable socializing. This is another way you can be sure that you can have your own special group of people with you. So
of course,
in your group, you can come. You can come by reserving a ticket and a table. And while you're there, you are in the room to be inspired.
Yep.
To be
Actually,
inspired.
Pearson, we're going to create a family environment in that room on the 5th of September.
Now, family has men, father, mother, children, grandparents, and the like.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, I hope that's what I'm saying because I hope that children, mothers, fathers, grandparents come out.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to create that environment because, as I said, I don't want to let too much out the bag. We really want to have this event to be an event that with a difference, an event that is unforgettable.
That's it. It has to be memorable and totally unforgettable indeed. It happens on the 5th of September, folks, at the Hilton Barbados. All like now, you can begin to help us save families by showing your support, by going to the box office. Look at the bottom of your screen. I keep saying to you, don't just listen, watch. Because when you go to the bottom of your screen, you will see Corbar Business Solutions is located in Oistins. And you can call 428-9611 or 420-5717. They'll give directions if you're a little bit confused as to how to get there. They're open Monday to Friday from 8 o'clock in the morning, but they're prepared to be able to respond to your investment by your purchase of a ticket. It's $250 a person, or you can book a table of 10 for $2,500. Very affordable. You can first pay accounts at
familyfestbarbados.org.
There you go. BIMPay or first pay.
That's
in
right.
that kind of way, and then the money comes right through, and then you have your entry into it indeed. But we want to thank you, Cornelius, as always, for being passionate in the way that you are to see the change that you think our society requires indeed in families. And so that's why providing help, hope, healing, and happiness is why we keep reminding you folks why Family Fest Barbados is an endeavor that you need to be able to support and should support indeed. As always, thanks, my brother.
Thank you.
I know there's another chance we'll talk some more on this.
For sure.
But we're reminding you folks about Family Fest Barbados, the big gala that's coming up. So get dressed up. We want you to get dressed up and fancy and feel good because we want to celebrate achievements, and we also want to be able to give reminders and help how we can in our own spaces create happiness together. And this is important. Morning Barbados continues right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. and together we will travel the world.
Preserve your personal priceless memories. Here at CBC, we transfer VHS, DVDs, Beta, U-matic, and DV cam tapes to modern digital formats. Safely, quickly, and affordably. Call CBC on 467-5437 to get started. In just 2 weeks, your memories will be ready to relive and share again.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
This personality we're meeting with now is a Barbadian who comes from a very simple place from his own mind, Wilson Hill in St. John. And it's at Wilson Hill, St. John, that his whole character was formed. But Wilson Hill from St. John also brings him back all the time. He is not lost who he is. He's a brilliant clinical surgeon, a clinician in the emergency medicine in the United Kingdom, as a matter of fact. Who is he, you ask? His name is Dr. Belfield Burgess. Dr. Belfield Burgess, or Don.
Don.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Everybody calls you Don.
Yes.
Why?
My middle name is MacDonald.
So the shortened as a
It's
Don.
shortened to Don. I only discovered Belfield was my name at primary school.
When the teacher called you by your
She said
full name?
Belfield, and I looked around to think, we must be related. Who is this Belfield Burgess? And she said, oh, that's you. I'm like, okay, fine. So if you really know me, you'll call me Don. The primary school friends will call me Belfield. It varies.
Yes. So Don shall it be.
Don is fine.
And so talk to me a little bit about what it meant for you growing up in Wilson Hill, St. John.
It's a tiny place. And growing up, it was a collection of working class people in the middle, and you had two houses on either end of people with means. And so you learn about humility because both of the occupants of those houses were humble people, despite the trappings. And it was a traditional country thing where everybody knew everybody else, and you had to say hi to your neighbors, even if the parents weren't speaking. You had supervisors, you had bodyguards, you had, an actual real village. So that's kind of created lifelong friends. It's created a collection of effectively older siblings. Yes,
And so it's part of the philosophy by which you live as well.
Absolutely.
Because you live by the saying that society is better when more of us are better off.
Correct.
And so I wanted to track it back in that particular way because you found your way eventually into the United Kingdom to practice what you do.
Yes.
And so was that part of the society is better off when everyone is better off?
Not really. It's some of that's evolved. I ended up in the UK because the thing I wanted to do as a specialty area was unavailable in the Caribbean. And I started off in medicine thinking, okay, I'm going to do cardiac surgery. Started down that road and realized I would have to come to Barbados to compete with a friend. Then went into general surgery and I did that for a while and realized that we had a need for reconstructive surgeons when a really good friend of mine, who's still a friend, her mom had a problem that needed reconstruction. So I went to the UK to do that, and along there I realized that the system didn't work for me. So I think I made a decision that, I am very comfortable with emergency medicine. I had done it before, so I went back to something that I was comfortable with and I could do for more than 10 minutes. And I have been doing this now for 20-something years.
You hear so many horror stories that people of color, people who are dark-skinned, meet a different kind of response in the British medical system than those who are Caucasian. Is that your reality?
The reality of it is that if you're working, there's always going to be a suspicion in your mind when something happens that would it be different if I looked different? The British are not overt in whatever negative behavior as you'd find on the north of us, but you will always have the suspicion anywhere you are where people don't look like you So I don't think there's a massive amount of disparity in terms of treatment, but I think it's there because people have biases regardless. I don't think a lot of it is conscious.
The little boy from Wilson Hill, St. John's, settling into London, what was that transition like for you, that acclimatization, like getting your feet settled?
Oh, it was quite easy actually, because I had a cousin, I have a cousin who took me around like everywhere and showed me every spot, good, bad, and indifferent. And when I moved, I was actually supposed to move the year previous because I was living in Jamaica, and one of my really good friends, who's still a good friend, he lived 3 miles away. We were friends from medical school. He's a youngster from St. Lucie, and then we lived in Jamaica. And he went to London. He said, "Look, I'll just get a big enough place for us." And then I ended up getting stuck in Jamaica for a year, you know. But eventually I got there, and it was easy. It was show up and go to work.
Just get on with it.
Just get on with it.
So what has that taught you about life in general and taught you about you, Don?
No, I mean, I knew the good thing about being grounded in a village. I knew who I was before. So the place was never going to change me. I mean, you fast forward, and I haven't actually lived in Barbados full time for decades. And people ask, but why you still have a Bajan accent?
I was coming to that next.
Right? and my position on that is, I am a boy from Wilson Hill. You can't take that out of me, you know. And so especially when I'm exasperated, you know, everybody at work knows the figure of speech when I say, none of it ain't getting short in my life, right? They all know it when I get into the more Bajan than everything else. So that's my comfort zone. And I think you stick to the comfort zone that you know, and it makes your life easier. And that's one of the reasons why I try to help youngsters kind of recognize and fix their comfort zone. Where are you happiest? Where are you most comfortable? And how can you get the most out of you without too much stress?
Your view of Barbados in the context of this comfort zone, do you think that Barbadians are too comfortable and should be a lot more agitated to want to explore and conquer the world?
It's kind of a loaded question, but absolutely. I mean, the fact of it is, unless you have broader exposure, it's always going to be difficult to have a broader vision. And one of the things you will find when you come here as somebody who's lived elsewhere is that you're much more comfortable speaking to people with a similar experience because you have that to share. But we have a bigger purview, we have bigger visions, and we see the actual potential, the real potential of Barbados. This country is nowhere near the expression of the potential that we have. And a lot of it is because if you don't have the exposure, you have no idea what's possible. And therefore, every idea looks like a dangerous, hard, you know, difficult, troubling thing. But I could find 25 things today that you could change in Barbados that would improve life for everybody. And I think that's part of it is to try to get the people who have never lived elsewhere to understand that same vision, even if they don't want to live elsewhere.
But that's not easy.
No, it's not. But you have to speak to people one at a time. It's difficult, and you have to learn how to express yourself clearly, give analogy, etc., that people understand where you're coming from.
The view of Barbados in the United Kingdom. Can you tell me what people there think of us?
So you have different points of view. You have a lot of the Bajans who left Barbados 50 years ago, who a lot of them are rooted in the idea of Barbados 40, 50 years ago. It's a completely different place. You have the people who have a vision that's totally from the press, so it's not necessarily accurate. Most of the British still view Barbados as an exotic place, where if you mention you're going on holiday, people go, "Oh my gosh, you're going to Barbados!"
Yes.
Right, and then among the educated, sort of middle upper class, you still have the view of certain things. I remember my son was going to high school, and I was talking to one of the parents. You know, his parents meet the teachers kind of thing, and he said he knew a few people from Barbados. He recognized my accent, and he said, I knew a few people from Barbados. And he called the names. I said, "Oh, we went to school together." And he jumped up and he said, "This man went to the Eton of Barbados." And it just showed me their perspective,
yes,
and how they actually visualize the place. So for the most part, I think it's positive.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Were your children born here or were they born there? They were born there.
My children were born at a hospital 5 minutes drive away from my house in the UK. And I'm still living in the same place because I've already said, and I've said many times, when I leave that house, the next place I live is Barbados. You know, because there's no reason for me to leave and go anywhere else.
Right.
We're trying to create something here that makes it viable financially, makes it viable socially and spiritually and all these other things. And the only bit that's left, the only box that's left unticked is the economic box.
Right. Which you're working on.
Which we're working on.
So
yes.
Wilson Hill, would you return to Wilson Hill?
No, we're not actually going to live in Wilson Hill now. I mean, from my perspective, that's my permanent address. I just happen to live elsewhere for the last 40 years. But that's my permanent address. It's going to be in Barbados, not that far, 10 minutes drive. It's Barbados. Everywhere is 15 minutes drive.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. You sound just like me. Honestly, you do. It's my permanent address. I just happen to live somewhere else.
I just happen to live somewhere else, yes.
That's all it is. Our question of the day, are you into Lent and that kind of thing and making sacrifice for Lent?
Not particularly, because I'm not a person of excess. And I don't do, most of life is measured. Does it make sense to do X? Does it make sense to do Y? So if it's something that I'm doing, it means that I've considered it. If it's something that I think that at some point in time I need to give up, I've already given it up.
See why you're a clinical physician?
Yes.
You're so clinical even though you're thinking.
Yes.
It's just not funny. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's good to see you.
Yes.
And for all of you from Wilson Hill, St. John and its environs, or you've been to school with Don is on the island indeed. And so if you wish to, find him. You'll track him down for sure.
Yes.
But good to have you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Are you ready to turn it all the way up? We make you feel good. Your #1 party station. Non-stop hits and the latest trends in music, fashion, and everything lit. Hit us up on socials at 981 Barbados on IG and 98.1 The One on Facebook. This is your world, your playlist, your station. 98.1 The One.
Before the island gets going, we're already here. 2 hours every weekday. The people, the stories, and the conversations that matter to Barbados. Guests you won't hear anywhere else. Your health, your culture, your country. No rush, no shouting, just good company to start your day. Mornin Barbados, weekday mornings, 6 to 8 on TV8.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur,
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
What a book. Look at your screen. Look at your screen. What a book. This book is called Memories of China, My 11th Defining Moment, but it's special. What I'm sharing with you now is the English side. Flip it around, Pearson. What you now see is the Mandarin side. And so all of that is in this. See how thick it is? But how precious it is indeed. And so another big man joins me on the set this morning, Dr. Charleston Brathwaite. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Zhao Chan Hao.
Oh dear. I can't answer. Otherwise, they say, what did you just say to me?
Good morning, person.
Thank you, sir.
Hen Gao Sing, Zien Dao Ni. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Oh, well, in English, we say thank you. And so here we are. And the publication now is in Mandarin as well as in English.
Yes.
And it chronicles your memories from 2004, 2017, I think, 14 to 17.
Yes.
While as Barbados ambassador serving in China. And those are some phenomenal years because there's so much that we got to learn in Barbados from that moment you were installed there as the ambassador to China, because you shared with us so much. Talk to me a little bit about getting to China, first of all, and where is China within the world economic system?
Well, Pearson, let me say what a pleasure it is to be here. And good morning to your listeners. Good morning to Barbados, and good morning to all who are in the reach of our show and the reach of my voice. After retiring from IICA in 2010, I came back home to retire and saw myself as doing some gardening, maybe playing the guitar and enjoying life. And then I got a call from the then Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Frundle Stewart, suggesting that he had considered many candidates, and out of those, the recommendation was that I should be the next ambassador to the People's Republic of China. Well, this was a surprising call. I had no intentions of continuing to work.
Yes.
And I did take some time to consider it. But then I had a very interesting conviction. I had lived in Europe. I worked in Italy for a number of years, lived in Latin America, worked in Mexico, worked in Costa Rica, worked in Trinidad and Tobago, worked in Jamaica, lived in the United States. And I said, oh, why not? It's an opportunity to complete my education by seeing Asia,
yes,
by living in China, one of the biggest countries in the world, and seeing the magic of the East, the stories that you heard of the transformation of China, the stories you heard about the development of places like Singapore and Japan. Why not? And therefore, my wife and I agreed, well, let's go to China. And so I ended up in Beijing in 2014.
And there you were in the world's second largest economy.
Yes.
But it's one of the fastest growing economies in the world as well. What did you learn from that moment in time?
Well, China is a remarkable country. You know, Pearson, in 1950, China was considered a poor country of very little significance in the world economy. And at that time, there was considerable, I would say, anti-sentiments about the possibility of a country like China being of importance economically. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, it was considered that was the end of any communist state in the world, and therefore the only dominant power in the world was the United States. And then, 50 years later, 70 years later, China surpassed Japan and became the second largest economy in the world. A remarkable transformation in 70 years, from 1950 in poverty to 2015, when I was there, the second largest economy in the world. This is a remarkable, it never happened before in history.
Yes.
No country at no time in the history of the world has been able to make that kind of transformation. And being the second largest economy in the world was not all. China became the manufacturing capital of the world. A place where you went to acquire those goods that once came out of the United States and Japan were now coming out of China. And China transformed the way we saw technology, the way we understand work, and the way we understand the diversification of our international relations. And this was a remarkable development for Barbados, a country that I would say functioned on the geopolitical compass that will be friends of all and satellites of none. And consequently, the relationship with China, which we established in 1977, was a remarkable development for a small economy like Barbados that sought to diversify its international relationship and establish a relationship with what has become one of the most powerful countries in the world.
In what we would call no time, in our lifetime. And so there's a lot to be learned from that.
Of course.
In mining beneath all that knowledge, that fact, what did you discover about the methods that China used to reposition itself to be such a powerful force within the world that we could probably look at in the region?
Well, there's a remarkable thing about the Chinese philosophy and the Chinese sense of destiny. In the sense that you're dealing with a country that has 5,000 years of written history. That's the first thing. And many of the philosophers and the historians say China is not a country. They say China is a civilization. China is a civilization that started 5,000 years ago and has documented its history. The other thing that fascinated me when I first went to China is China is 9.6 million square kilometers with a population of 1.3 billion people. The size is 22,000 times the size of Barbados, and the population is 5,000 times the population of Barbados. So when you go to China, the concept of size changes. Your concept of what is large becomes larger.
Yes.
Because you're dealing with a population of 1.3 billion people. It's 5 times the population of the United States. And you're dealing with a country that extends from the temperate to the tropical regions. Therefore, within that country, you can produce almost anything because they have all the climatic regions that are necessary for production. But what was the secret? I found 6 factors that I've noted in my book that were critical to China's success. 1, social cohesion. 92% of the population is of an ethnic group called the Han Chinese. That's a very important part of their success. Social cohesion. Number 2, long-term planning. China has a development plan that goes right now to 2050. And every year they renew the plan in various aspects of it and tweak it as you go forward. Long-term planning. A work ethic that is enviable. The Chinese work every day, 24 hours a day. When they put up a building, they have 3 8-hour turns. They do not stop working. The other thing that is important is the importance of technology and innovation into their development model. They opened up in 1978 under the leadership of Deng Xiaoping, who came after Mao Zedong.
Yeah.
And he opened the economy to the Western world, opened the economy to capital investment, opened the economy to technology, and opened the minds of the Chinese to a new reality. And then there is the whole concept of pragmatism. Very pragmatic. Although people talk about the communist model, when you examine the development of China carefully, there's more capitalism there than anywhere else that you can find. Matter of fact, I said to a friend of mine the other day, I went to China looking for communists, I didn't find any. Everybody's in business. Everybody's into generating wealth. And then there is the social dimension. that in that period, China moved 500 million people out of poverty. And these are not the Chinese numbers, these are the numbers of the World Bank that have done their studies and demonstrated that here's a country that has moved 500 million people out of poverty in the last 50 years. This is a remarkable achievement. In the context of the Millennium Development Goals, in the context of what the United Nations seeks to achieve, this is indeed a remarkable achievement and something that we in the developing world need to examine carefully in terms of the success of China.
Right. And so, little Barbados, with you, little you, in all of this big space with these magical moments, how effective was Barbados?
Well, I think the interesting thing about Barbados in the context of China was a remarkable experience because it forced us to re-examine our development model and the role of our embassies abroad. In a real sense, the embassies or the high commissions in Commonwealth countries, in England, in Canada, and the embassy in the United States has had a very strong emphasis on consular, what we call consular matters, looking after diaspora, making sure that if there is a citizen there that needs a passport renewed, it can be done, facilitating marriage certificates, birth certificates, and if someone was arrested, then the ambassador would go and see how it's possible to free that person, etc., etc., etc. These consular responsibilities did not exist in China. First of all, we had very little of a diaspora. The only thing we had in China when I was there was about 30 students. So that from the point of view of you being relevant in terms of looking after the diaspora, there was very little to do. Yes. And the students were well behaved, so there's no one going to jail. But I think what it forced us to do is to re-examine our relationship between a country as large as China and little Barbados. And what I saw was the need for a new thinking in terms of promoting functional cooperation. Relationships that were redound to the benefit of Barbados in commerce, in education, in technology, and in those things that would make our country better.
Yeah. And I really want to commend you on this publication because I think it is a history book. It's also a workbook.
It is indeed.
It is indeed. And so I thank you for that because some of us have never been to China. We just know what the tea of China in China. But nonetheless, we get to see for ourselves through the pages and your experience just what's possible and how big we can be in our mind that we can conquer the world in big spaces as well.
And become global citizens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You said it better than I could.
Yes.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affairs segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So don't forget, today, this morning, as a matter of fact, young people, 9 o'clock at the Frank Collymore Hall, you sit and have audience with Jennifer Lewis, American actress, activist, and author. She'll be there with you to engage with you, to hear your ideas, to share her experience as well, and for you to be absolutely stunning in your creativity as well. So for young creatives, Frank Collymore Hall at 9 o'clock this morning for about 3 hours. So it's time well spent indeed. Also this afternoon, 2 o'clock at the Grantley Adams International Airport or thereabouts, The team who represented us in the 30th Goodwill Swimming Championships will be returning to Barbados. They have come back with hardware, lots of medals. They placed 4th overall, but they've done well. And so I'd like as many of you as possible, if you can, to be at the airport to welcome them back with noise and lots of applause and hugs and everything else, as well as they went out to do best for self and country. And so we celebrate the Team Barbados on their return from the Goodwill Games. And don't forget, Thursday, will be Q in the Community this Thursday. We'll be going to Salters Market. Salters Market is in Salters, St. George. It's right in that corner. You see the full shops and trucks and everything else. That's exactly where Thursday's edition of Q in the Community will be held. Your attendance is required. Yes, show up in your numbers indeed. Remember, from 11 o'clock we get going. The broadcast on Q 100.7 FM will get going at 12 noon. So don't miss Q in the Community this Thursday. That's it for today, everybody. My little crew joins me in saying to all of you, make the most of today. Have a terrific today. Be the will of the Lord. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.